Welcome. This is a public meeting as required by the Planning Act to provide an opportunity with respect to a proposed minor variance at 43099 John Wise Line, the municipality of Central Elgin. Does any member of the committee have a disclosure of interest concerning this proposal? Ms. Leach, what method of notice and when was the notice given to the public for this meeting, please?
Mr. Chair, as per requirements of the Planning Act, notice was mailed by regular post to every owner of land within 60 meters of the subject land and applicable agencies on July 16th, 2024. Notice was physically posted to the property by municipal staff, and notice was also posted to the municipal website.
Thank you. Do we have anyone online, Ms. Leach?
Mr. Chair, I have no virtual attendees.
Thank you. I think we have Mr. Rietsma here in the gallery. Did you wish to speak to this, Mr. Rietsma? I think we're pretty good, but I'll ask the council, do they want to hear from Mr. Rietsma individually? Fine, we'll leave you where you are. I think we're in good stead. So Ms. Leach, any written submissions regarding this proposal?
Mr. Chair, no correspondence has been received.
Thank you. Any member of council have any questions? Everyone has been provided a fair opportunity to be heard. The committee prepared to make a decision. Seeing yes, all those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Those wanting to be notified of the committee's decision on any application should contact municipality. This meeting is adjourned at 4:16. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Can you hear us, Councillor Connors?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me, Your Worship?
Councillor Connors, are you able to hear us?
I'm able to hear you. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, we're unable to hear you here in the chambers.
Okay. I'm gonna leave. Can you hear me?
Hello, Counselor Connors. Can you hear us now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Oh my God. All right, well, I'll try something different here. Can you hear me now, Delaney?
We still
Can you hear me
don't
now,
seem
Delaney?
able to hear you, sir.
Can you hear me now? Delaney, can you hear me? I don't know what the hell's going on here. Why I can't see fucking wrong. Can you hear me now, Delaney? Can you hear me now, Delaney? Delaney, can you hear me now? What options I can select here?
This is a public meeting as required by the Planning Act to provide an opportunity to provide input with respect to a proposed minor variance at 6089 Yarmouth Center Road in the municipality of Central Elgin. Does any member of the committee have a disclosure of interest concerning this proposal? Seeing none, Ms. Leach, what method of notice and when was the notice given to the public for this meeting, please?
Mr. Chair, as per requirements of the Planning Act, notice was mailed by regular post to every owner of land within 60 meters of the subject land and applicable agencies on July 16th, 2024. Notice was physically posted to the property by municipal staff, and notice was also posted to the municipal website.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Wall. If you wish to speak to this, just press the button for your microphone.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Barry and Anita Wade approached me a couple months back. I had a meeting with Kevin about the stipulations for building an auxiliary residential unit on their property. We crossed the bridge of them not having the services that Central Elgin requires for us to build an ARU. So them being on a private well and private septic system, I did the proper testing that Kevin had asked for us to make sure that the water supply would be sufficient for the building and the wastewater would be as well sufficient. The results of that is the leaching bed was of sufficient size, but we do need to increase the size of the septic bed. As for the water supply, it was more than sufficient for the extra water fixtures that we'll be adding. As well as the 4.3 meters where we're going over the height restriction there. It is a smaller size building. Anita Wade is trying to bring her parents from Toronto to their property, so that way they can take care of them in their aging time. So with a little bit of extra height, we're trying to build a loft inside. So we're doing a true vaulted ceiling inside, and we're trying to build a loft up in there, so that way they can have some extra storage space to take care of their winter clothes and so on and so forth with the lack of space. The building itself is outside dimensions right around 800 square feet. So you can imagine it's not that big of a building, but it does fit on the property rather well.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Ms. Leach, any written submissions regarding the proposal?
Mr. Chair, no correspondence has been received.
Ms. Leach, is anyone online?
Confirming there are no virtual attendees.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Seeing none, I think it's fair to say a decision we're happy to make. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Those wanting to be notified of the committee's decision on any application should contact the municipality. This public meeting is adjourned at 4:32. Thank you.
Wow. Hang on a second. Hang on. Can you hear me now, Delaney? I don't know. Can you hear me now, guys? Yeah, I don't know what else I can do, Bill.
Best thing to do is log out and then log back in again. It might have to reset.
Yeah, I tried that once already, but I guess I'll have to do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay then.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Can you guys hear me? I don't know what's wrong.
This is a public meeting as required by the Planning Act to provide an opportunity to provide input with respect to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment at 45685 Talbot Line in the municipality of Central Elgin. Does any member of council have a disclosure of interest concerning this proposal? Seeing none, Ms. Leach, what method of notice and when was the notice given to the public for this meeting, please?
Mr. Mayor, as per requirements of the Planning Act, notice was mailed by regular post to every owner of land within 120 meters of the subject land and applicable agencies on July 4th, 2024. Notice was physically posted to the property by municipal staff, and notice was also posted to the municipal website.
Thanks, Ms. Leach. Mr. McClure?
Thank you, Mayor Sloan. This is a presentation to present a draft zoning bylaw amendment for 45685 Talbot Line. As can be seen on the screen, the subject lands are south of Talbot Line, west of Powers Road, just south of the community of New Sarum. As has been consistent with these types of applications in the past, this is a rezoning as part of a condition for surplus farm severance. Specifically, the application is going to be prohibiting a new dwelling on the retained lands and then permitting the reduced lot frontage for the severed parcel. Specifically, this is the severed parcel of land as is required by policy to limit the amount of agricultural land coming out of agricultural production. You can see the, I guess, the driveway coming up to Talbot Line. So in order to deal with that frontage, there's a reduction in the general provisions of the open space zone that this is going to be falling into. So this is the draft amendment itself. Part one of the amendment introduces Schedule A to the bylaw, being map part 19P. And then part two of the amendment introduces a new schedule being Schedule B, map part 21A. Part three of the amendment then designates the lines, the hatched area on Schedule A as OS 1-239. So these are the new map parts specific to this amendment. As you can see, the hatched area on the map being that OS 1-230 line being the severed parcel, and then the lands around that being the OS 1-240, which will come in later, being the retained lands, which falls on to the other map part, which is the reason for the two maps being introduced to the bylaw. Part four of the amendment then introduces a new subsection to the OS1 zone, being the 8.2.2.239, defines that area on map part 19P as an OS1 2-239, provides that the only permitted uses of the rural residential use, home occupations, and accessory uses, provides that the only permitted buildings and structures are the single attached dwelling and accessory buildings and structures, and then again provides that provision of the minimum reduced frontage of 10 meters. Then provides an exception to the general provisions of the OS1 zone, which allow for the severance and then the the severed land and the specific provisions in that zone. Part 5 of the amendment then designates the lands and schedules A and B and heavy solid lines, that OS1-240. Provides a new subsection to the OS1 zone, being that 8.2.2.240, and defines that area on map parts 19P and 21A as that OS1-240. Provides that the only permitted uses are farm use and accessory uses, and the only permitted building and structures being farm buildings and structures, but no dwelling. Again, consistent with provincial policy and county and municipalities policies. And then provides the exceptions to the general provisions of the OS1 zone to deal with those new site-specific provisions. And then anticipation of the eventual consolidation of the bylaw, and is consistent with other amendments. Schedule C and D are added through this amendment, being consolidated versions of those map parts, being zoning map 19 and 21, which provide all of the site-specific amendments that have occurred to date on those map parts, including the ones by this amendment, which again are shown on the screen here and here. Thank you.
Thank you. So just a quick question. So 45685 Talbot line is currently zoned what?
Is currently zoned an open space 1 zone.
Okay, so that can you tell me the difference between, you talked about agricultural land, so OS1 versus straight agricultural, what's the difference?
So currently
yeah,
the Township of Yarmouth bylaw dates back to 1968. There wasn't an agricultural zone in that bylaw. So the open space 1 zone, the open space 2 zone, that covered rural residential and farm uses. So for all intents and purposes, the majority of the lands outside of settlement areas in the municipality are covered by a variation of the OS1 or OS2 zone. And that is what the municipality would classify as agricultural.
OS1 or OS2?
Generally, yes. The OS2 has more restrictions, and that's dealing with more generally around settlement areas like the city of St. Thomas and that. They have a little more restrictions on existing uses and those types of things, but generally, yes.
Okay, and this group, there's going to be a house built here?
No, this is
Secondary, what is
so this is typical to what we've had in the past. It's a condition of a surplus farm severance. So as part of a farm consolidation, with the county, when you sever off a farm that is farm existing residents that is no longer needed or required to be as part of that agricultural parcel, the applicant can go through a process with the county to deem it surplus to farming operation and then have it severed off.
or residential?
It's recognizing the existing rural residential use of the property based on the fact that it's a residence that's surplus to a farming operation. So it is it is allowed to maintain as a rural residential use because it exists today. You couldn't create a new rural residential use in an agricultural land without there being a part of a consolidation through the farming through a resident surplus to a farming operation. So the only way that they're able to sever it off is because it meets the provincial criteria as to be a resident surplus to a farming operation.
Thank you. Ms. Leach, have you received any written submissions regarding the proposal, please?
Mr. Mayor, no correspondence has been received.
Is there anyone online, Ms. Leach?
Mr. Mayor, the agent for the application is online. Ms. Button, do you wish to speak?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing particular that I wish to speak to. I can answer any questions if there are questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council? Seeing none, those wanting to be notified of the committee's decision on any application should contact the municipality. Any amendment to the bylaw will be considered at a future meeting. This public meeting is adjourned at 4:53. Thanks all.